It's always interesting to see how what's happening across the North Pole affects our weather across the lower 48. What we're going to see over the next couple of weeks, some warm air surging north into Alaska, also up from Europe. Look at that, just colliding across the North Pole and basically fracturing the polar vortex, sending that cold air south into Asia, also into North America. That can also be seen very clearly here on the 500 millibar chart right here, and now you're pushing that cold air here and also across Asia. What does it mean for us? I don't know that it means the warm blast that we're going to see over the next couple of days and weeks will last, although we're getting quite the January thaw in many areas, and some of the longer range model data is trying to show some snow. Now, in the short term, through the next week or so, not a lot, and there's always a lot of disagreement when you start looking long range, but it's interesting to see the pattern, how it's shaping up. I don't think winter is over by any stretch. Clearly, we're going to get warmer over the next couple of weeks, depending on where you are, though, I guess. Cold in the northeast as high pressure settles in here, heading in through Sunday. Another round of snow moving through the Great Lakes. That's going to bring some accumulating snow for parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, down into Michigan, and big snow and rain here across the west. It's going to get extremely windy, too, with a big storm moving in to this part of the country. As we head through the weekend now, Saturday through into Sunday, high pressure losing its grip across the northeast. As we move into Sunday afternoon, that snow starts to push off to the east. So now we've got snow picking up into parts of western New York. And then it's really starting to snow across the west. Snow levels dropping fairly low here, too, across the Pacific Northwest. That could mean snow all the way down to sea level in and around Seattle. And then big snow into the mountains, into the Cascades, and into Idaho and Montana. This is a really decent snowstorm here with some upslope flow, too. Low pressure moving through the Rockies. A tight pressure gradient, so I expect windy conditions, and of course, we've talked about the snow. Now, as we head into Monday and Tuesday, temperatures across the Central Plains, down into the southeast, warm. We're going to look at those temperatures in just a second, but another really atmospheric river flowing into the west. We're going to get some big-time rain and snow into the Sierra, also further to the east into the Wasatch and into the Rockies again, and then warm air surging north out ahead of this system. It looks really interesting as we head toward Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Will we see a big system wrap up toward the Great Lakes? Several models are trying to show that. The GFS has a little bit of a different story. That was the European. This is the GFS for that same time frame. It also has something trying to develop here in this Thursday to Friday period. We'll have to wait and see how that works. Overall, though, the idea in my mind is that your storm track is shifting a little bit, heading toward the 9th and the 10th, and things could get a little wild here. More to come on that. We do have some rain that's falling across the east this weekend, and that's going to start to push off the coast. Heading into Saturday, into Sunday, there comes the snow through the Great Lakes into the northeast, and then a little bit of light precipitation possible on Tuesday. There's your snow totals up into Wisconsin, into Minnesota, 3, 4, maybe even 5 inches in a few places. Also over into the lower peninsula, we could see a little bit and maybe a coating or so all the way down to the Indiana and Ohio border, with more snow into Ontario, into New York, also into the northeast, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. This is the second round of snow, not what's falling Friday night into Saturday. Temperatures on the way up across the south. This would be your high temperatures Saturday afternoon. Not very warm, though, across the northeast. Single digits to below zero. Teens and 20s back across the Great Lakes. Still below freezing for places really north of Columbus, into Michigan, into Pennsylvania. But we're starting to warm up across South Carolina and Georgia, back into the 60s. And these temperatures here will continue to warm up back into the mid-60s on Sunday, and back close to 60 for places like Louisville, Lexington, and then up to St. Louis. We're getting warmer here, too, with some cold air still holding on into the northeast with below freezing temperatures for many of these areas. But look at the warm temperatures. And I just want to say this. When we see these warm temperatures, it's pretty wild to see the differences from here to here. You're talking about a minimum on this map of 1 below, a maximum of 86. A huge range. So you got to think something could form here, some kind of storm as we head through next week. And where would it move? Likely along your Arctic boundary. So we're going to be tracking that. If you're brand new to the channel, thanks for coming by. I'm Travis. I used to be a meteorologist many years ago on television. I've been out of that business for a while. So if you like forecasting and weather stuff, hope you'll subscribe. Look what happens heading into Tuesday. I mean, you're pushing 70 in Nashville, almost 70 up towards Durham, even parts of Southside Virginia, and now some really warm air moving up into Missouri. Look at this battle zone, if you will, as we head toward Wednesday and Thursday. Where will this set up? I don't know, but look, everything comes crashing down heading into late next week with temperatures back down below freezing. A wild ride ahead for sure. Across the Central Plains, fairly dry this weekend. Also across the Southern Plains, there's the snow breaking out heading into Monday and Tuesday across Montana, into the Dakotas. It doesn't look like a huge snow event, but there could be a couple of inches out of this. And then the big snow gets going across the west into the Rockies, heading into Wednesday and Thursday, and further west through the weekend into next week. Here's a look at your temperatures as we head through the weekend. Temperatures Saturday morning waking up below freezing in many areas, especially the further north you go, but pretty warm here from Kansas north into Nebraska. We're back into the 50s, some 40s and 30s holding on from Iowa. Northeast of that, we're well below freezing into parts of Wisconsin. Some of that snow moves through here. Temperatures staying cold, but we're warming up here across the Southern Plains and the Deep South. Mid-70s, even some 80s showing up across Texas heading into Sunday. There's your really cold air starting to push back down from Canada into the Northern Plains, eventually down into the Central Plains with, look at this boundary setting up by the time we get into Tuesday with highs possibly reaching, very close to 80 across parts of Oklahoma, while the northern part of the state close to 50, and then you've got this really cold air here. I think we get a storm somewhere in this region. You can see it kind of wrapping up here Thursday into Friday as your front moves through, and then there comes the cold behind it. And another shot of cold possible around the 9th and the 10th. Winter, I think, is certainly not over, and across the west, big snow, big rain going here as our jet stream drops south, cold air aloft, and snow again here into the Pacific Northwest and into interior areas into the mountains. And we're talking about feet of snow. Just look at this. This is model data here into the Sierra. That's a 75-inch total showing up near Lake Tahoe. That would be through Wednesday. Clearly, that's a lot. And even further into Southern California, maybe some snow here, but certainly across Central California, into the Sierra, into the northern mountains of California, we're going to get some snow. And also further inland into Nevada. Now into the northwest, again, some snow possible all the way down to sea level. The heaviest snow, though, into the mountains where it could add up to 3-4 feet, maybe even up to 5 or 6 feet in some of the snow-favored areas. A very wild setup. Look at these numbers heading through Saturday and Sunday. These are snow totals in inches just climbing across Idaho and Montana. Not as much snow down into Boise, but I think it gets cold enough for a couple of inches as we head towards Tuesday and Wednesday. Can you see this? 60 inches of snow into parts of Idaho, also over here into northwest Wyoming, and pretty much all of Montana. You're going to see quite a bit of snow. So a wild ride ahead, I think. Winter certainly not losing its grip across the west or across the rest of the country. I think more snow is on the way. All right, that's all I got for now. See you next time.